Mr. President, during my time in the U.S. Senate, I've had right here the privilege of being part of the confirmation process for each justice currently sitting on the Supreme Court. Yes, each one. As such, over the years, I've had the opportunity to meet with many of the nation's most talented juries. At this time, I consider Judge Amy Coney Barrett to be the most qualified Supreme Court nominee that I've encountered in my 34 years in the United States Senate. Let me explain. Education, that's important. Judge Barrett was born and raised in the New Orleans area. She's the eldest of 7 children, has been spoken of here. And if you take a look, Mr. President, at her scholastic credentials, you know she was an exceptional student. Judge Barrett graduated magna cum laude from Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee, and was inducted into Phi Beta Kappa. She also graduated summa cum laude from Notre Dame Law School, where she was the executive editor of the Notre Dame Law Review and finished, Mr. President, first in her class. Look at some of her professional experience. This is important. Judge Barrett is no stranger to the courtroom. She has decades of exemplary professional legal experience that I believe deem her well qualified to sit as a Supreme Court justice. Following law school, Judge Barrett clerked for Justice Lawrence Silberman of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. He's a great jurist in his own right, Judge Silberman. 1 year later, she clerked at the U.S. Supreme Court for Justice Scalia, one of the renowned judges, gaining fundamental legal experience that would help shape her future legal career. From there, Mr. President, she practiced law and taught as a visiting professor at George Washington University Law School here in Washington. Judge Barrett went on to serve as a law professor for 15 years at her alma mater, Notre Dame University Law School. In that period of time, she was awarded Notre Dame Law School's Distinguished Professor of the Year Award 3 separate times. Most recently, in 2017, Judge Barrett was confirmed right here in the Senate as a judge for the United States Court of Appeals for the 7th Circuit. And during this time on the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals, she authored 79, Mr. President, 79 majority opinions as a circuit court judge. Let's review for a minute the judicial philosophy and temperament of Judge Barrett. I think that's highly important. And while her education and professional experience are certainly noteworthy, it is her judicial philosophy and temperament that really set her nomination apart, I believe, from a lot of others. I'm a firm believer that any nominee to the Supreme Court must and should demonstrate that he or she consistently and honorably applies the law as it is written, impartially and equally to all individuals. Judge Barrett has time and again shown through her opinions and her statements that she will base her decisions on the law and the Constitution, not on personal policy preferences, as it should be. She has also, Mr. President, demonstrated a deep commitment to the Constitution and its protections established by our founding fathers. When considering potential nominees to the Supreme Court, Mr. President, I find one's judicial temperament to be vitally important. The American Bar Association Standing Committee on the Federal Judiciary, which consists, Mr. President, of 19 lawyers who conduct nonpartisan peer reviews of federal judicial nominees. It relies on confidential assessment of judges, lawyers, law professors, and deans, community leaders, and others with knowledge of the nominee. I want to share what some of them have said about her. For Judge Barrett, the committee invited 944 people to provide input into whether she's qualified or not for the Supreme Court. I'd like to share here in the Senate this afternoon just a few of the comments that the American Bar Association committee provided. They said about her, whip smart, highly productive, punctual, and well prepared, a brilliant writer and thinker, an intellectual giant with people skills and engaging warmth. The myth is real. She's a staggering academic mind. Judge Barrett has demonstrated, I'm quoting them again, stellar judicial temperament in all settings. She is often described as a good listener who makes time for people, whether they're law students, law clerks, colleagues, or friends. Of other note here are the comments from Randall Noel, the chair of the American Bar Association Standing Committee. And he said, Judge Barrett is incredibly honest and forthright. Judge Barrett is an exemplar of living an integrated life in which her intellect, integrity, and compassion weave the different threads of her life together seamlessly. Think about all this. He also says, all of the experienced, dedicated, and knowledgeable sitting judges, legal scholars, and lawyers who have worked with or against Judge Barrett had high praise for her intellect and her ability to communicate clearly and effectively. It is no surprise that the American Bar Association found Barrett's professional competence to have exceeded, Mr. President, their high standards for Supreme Court nominees. As a country, we should seek, I believe, to have judges who are thoughtful, fair-minded, and respectful. Judge Barrett exemplifies all of these traits. Mr. President, in conclusion, I believe that the role of the Constitution of advice and consent that we talk about here to the Supreme Court nominees to be one of my most important responsibilities here in the Senate. Judge Amy Coney Barrett is as qualified for the United States Supreme Court as any nominee, Mr. President, that I have encountered in 34 years here, and I have the utmost confidence that she will serve the court and this country with honesty and integrity. I look forward later today to voting to confirm her nomination and to encourage also my colleagues to do the same. I yield the floor.